Hey everyone, what's going on? And welcome to AngryLarry's Wrestling Reaction Show, the Armbar, for WrestleMania 32. It was a long wrestling weekend. I just finished recording the NXT TakeOver Dallas recap show, and my voice is shot. And I said it on that show as well. It was a long weekend of wrestling, and Sunday was brutal. It was too much wrestling, and we're gonna get through it though. Hopefully my voice holds up by the end of this. I may have to start and stop the recording, but I'll cleverly edit that so you won't even notice. So let's get into it. In the 5 o'clock hour on the East Coast, Kalisto retained the U.S. title against the Ryback when Ryback's head hit an exposed turnbuckle that Kalisto ripped open when the Ryback, pulled him off out of the corner. It's dumb. It really is. It's your classic little guy needs a reason to go over on the big guy scenario. It's not enough to just win. To have a champion that wins on merit alone. You got to have the champion who's smaller resort to these kind of accidents to claim victories. It's poor. It's a bad spot for the U.S. title to be in. I'm not a fan of Kalisto having this title. I've never been a fan of the Ryback, and then just the two mixing with the ending was just brutal, absolutely brutal. Total Divas defeated Team Bad and Blonde when Brie Bella made Naomi tap to the yes lock. It's surprising because Brie's been having the feud with Lana, so you think Brie would get her hands on Lana, especially if this is her technically last match, which was rumored. You have Tamina on the team who loses all the time, but yet you take the person who has arguably the most talent on the team, and really it feels like they're continuously burying Naomi at the expense of other people, and Naomi has become sort of the jobber in the Divas division, where she has a reputation as being a good worker, but she's ultimately going to be on the losing side every time. It's so unfortunate. If you listen to our GNWC official podcast, the link below, we talk about Naomi all the time. We think we disagree with a lot of people. We think she has a lot of talent and a lot left in her. I mean, she's still young. It's not like she's aging out or anything, but her position on the roster just has you scratching your head. It's just weird. Your last pre-show match was the Usos defeating the Dudley Boyz, and then after the match, putting them both through tables. I mean, pretty much as expected. There's nothing important in this match. You got a couple tables, and then that's pretty much it. So, moving on to the main show. Intercontinental ladder match. Zack Ryder wins the title. Wins the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. Zack Ryder. It is probably half of the reason I lost my voice last night was because this was awesome. And it's no pun intended with the Miz involved, but we almost had the exact scenario happen that I called, which was Sami Zayn and Owens climbing the ladder, fighting for the title, taking each other out, or the Miz taking them both out, then the Miz climbing the ladder and stealing the title. But just as that was about to happen, Zack Ryder then came off camera, took out the Miz, and took the title for himself. The way that title swung, though, and the pessimistic wrestling fan in me at times thought that by the time the title came back to reach for Ryder, that someone else was going to climb the ladder and knock him off and then take it back. But it was pretty awesome. They talk about WrestleMania moments and then people who deserve them. I'm always been on the Ryder bandwagon. I've always thought that they've buried him unnecessarily for getting over on his own, so much so that he wouldn't even be out there on Long Island wrestling events at the Nassau Coliseum. He'd be off camera or a dark match, and it was finally good. Finally good to see something go the fans' way for a change, but not really for a change. We'll talk more about that later. Chris Jericho defeated AJ Styles to even their singles wrestling series at 2 matches apiece for a concluding match, I guess, tonight on Monday Night Raw. But I don't know. Are you guys invested? Let me know in the comments if you guys are invested in this feud, or you've been sick of it like I have. I think after the second match, I was already sick of it, or definitely by the second time Chris Jericho turned on AJ Styles, I was definitely over it. I just we're reaching Sheamus Randy Orton proportions here with these two wrestling each other all the time. And AJ Styles has just been around for 3 months, so it's very unfortunate. But yeah, hopefully it concludes tonight, and AJ Styles moves on to better things, and Jericho moves on to better things. I really would have preferred them to stay the tag team. I think that would have been nice for the New Day, but who knows? Because the League of Nations defeated the New Day. It was 4-on-3, so I guess it's as expected. But I have a graphic on screen right now that just shows the New Day's ring entrance attire, because the WWE's Twitter really didn't care about this match. They showed the New Day entering the ring, and they showed the aftermath, but they didn't show any pictures of what happened in between. And that being the League of Nations defeating the New Day when Sheamus brogue kicked somebody. I forget who it was, but I wasn't expecting the match to end then. And then it was just, it was a little chaotic in the house because I had a bunch of people over who weren't really wrestling fans or more recently wrestling fans. They were wrestling fans back in the day, either in the Hulk Hogan era or the Attitude Era. And a lot of crosstalk, talking going on, questioning, and talking about other things. And I missed exactly how Sheamus won, but I wasn't expecting it to end that way. But that also set up a legends coming out and helping the New Day, saving the New Day after the League of Nations were going to beat them up again. First HBK comes out, then Mick Foley comes out, and then Austin comes out and did all their spots, drank some beer. In the end, the League of Nations, and stunned pretty much everyone in the League of Nations. And as they were all laid out, New Day come in, they try to get everyone to dance. Austin's the last one to finally give in and start dancing, and then he hits Xavier Woods with the stunner. And that's something I called 3 weeks ago, that Austin was going to stun Xavier Woods, and that's, I'm happy to get one. Happy to get one right, finally. And I certainly did there. But I don't think this match serves any purpose. It just leaves me, another point in WrestleMania that leaves me scratching my head as to why this match happened in the first place. Because we've seen it before in variations, and why it ended. Why did the League of Nations win? What payoff does it have? And I guess a little later I'm going to talk about why a lot of things are scratching my head and what I think about that. So quickly moving on here, Brock Lesnar absolutely destroyed Dean Ambrose. Destroyed him. Ambrose got in some spots with Singapore Cane and DDT on the chairs and stuff, and a couple false finishes, but it was the Lesnar show, as always. 13 suplexes, was it, the final count? Some of them being on the chairs at the end, the F5 onto the chairs, and it's just 2 F5s total, I think. He kicked out of the first one, because everyone kicks out of the first F5 now. What happened to Dean Ambrose? Is this, like, I hate to throw the word punishing somebody around every time, like, someone you want loses, or someone you expect to be elevated loses. And certainly I don't think this is a punishing Dean Ambrose situation. But 2 months ago, this dude was hot with the crowd. I mean, he's still hot with the crowd, but he was at the peak of being the crowd favorite. And then you throw him into a match with Triple H to just, validate Triple H's title. And on a live special Roadblock, and then you have him constantly get destroyed by Lesnar, picking himself back up, making him look like the true lunatic he's portraying, only to lose again. Like there was just no payoff to this, unless he fights again and it's at Extreme Rules, because contrary to what I believe, WrestleMania doesn't always have to be the feel-good story. It doesn't have to be the conclusion of storylines. The day after WrestleMania doesn't have to be the season premiere. You know what I mean? The new season, everyone's record is 0-0 kind of deal. And then you build up again till next WrestleMania. A lot of things that have been done this WrestleMania seem to be booked that way so that you have something on Raw to be interested about, or going into the next pay-per-view. And I think this one with Extreme Rule, this one was Street Fight. So there already was a stipulation on the match. What can be the next stipulation that Dean and Brock Lesnar have? An ambulance match? A casket match? You know what I mean? It just seems like this would have been a great time to put Dean Ambrose over the top, as far as he's got the crowd support, and now he's got the resume, the win-loss thing that matters to some people. It matters to me when people lose constantly, and you don't have that elevated talent to realistically fight somebody else who has a title. You know what I mean? And you get situations where you just gotta turn people heel and face to fill that void, and I think this is a situation where that's gonna happen. So, well, no, we don't know. We'll see on Raw. I'm probably wrong about every single thing I say, but that's my gut feeling, and I don't like that gut feeling. If you didn't know, the Divas title has been changed and swapped out for the WWE Women's Championship, first ever, even though they want to ignore all the women's championships in the past. I hate when they debut a new title and they treat it like it's the first championship and invalidate the history of whatever the title it's replacing it means. They sort of did that when they combined the two heavyweight championships and made the WWE Heavyweight Championship. And it seems like they're doing that. They've already had a women's championship, but now Charlotte's the first women's champion, so I don't get that. But it's good that they have that now, and they can move away from this Divas crap, which I don't know how they'll do with Total Divas still around, and I think even still existing next year. And maybe even a year beyond that they're signed for. But this might have been the best match of the night. And it shocked me that watching it with casual wrestling fans and non-wrestling fans who are used to women's matches being bra and panty matches and stuff like that, that they actually agreed that this was a good match. And that totally blows my mind, because I always expect non-wrestling fan or Attitude Era wrestling fan to just mock whatever they could be the greatest match in the world, and all I can expect them to do is mock it and wonder when the Undertaker's coming out, stuff like that. But great match, and I called Charlotte retaining, and it could be a situation where the title changes hands tonight on Raw. We'll see, and you'll probably know this answer by the time you listen to this, and hopefully you do listen to this. I appreciate that. But it was a great match, and it proves that women's wrestling can work on the main event level, not main roster level, first of all. And I think the crowd was pretty much into it. And with the right girls going all out like they did. I mean, how about Sasha Banks doing the tope through the ropes? And then realizing she's not going to hit Charlotte, like Charlotte's too far away, and then flipping last second to kind of let her legs take out Charlotte, almost like it was planned that way. It was just amazing. The camera angles on this match were great. The camera angles on the ladder match were fantastic as well, by the way. Not ever knowing the guy snuck into the ring. And when Charlotte had the figure four on Becky Lynch early in the match, Sasha just came out of nowhere with a frog splash. I mean, that was tremendous. And by the way, speaking of calling things, I wrote something a while ago that somehow made its way to Mick Foley. And he commented and reposted it on his Facebook page. And that prompted me to, basically, it was about the Divas Revolution and how it was stupid. And how they were doing nothing to really promote women's wrestling. And it was a crap show. It was all over the place. And it was like, it was horrible. And then I booked, like I did one of those articles where I felt like I could book better. So I booked it, and what I did, and I had Charlotte winning the title at WrestleMania, and I did this way back when. I had Charlotte winning the title at WrestleMania. I had Sasha Banks finally accepting her role model Eddie Guerrero in doing a frog splash and the shimmy, and that stuff she really hasn't really done before. So it's good to get some right, because I get a lot wrong, and I go out there on a limb a lot, just so I can get things wrong and just be the first to say something kind of deal. And I got that one right, and I'm patting myself on the back now for it. So, but great match, and I look forward to what they do now. And I really hope that it's not just a Monday Night Raw title switch tonight. Could be someone debuting to take the title, but they've done that before. Paige has done it to AJ, and Gail Kim has done it on her debut. It's been done before. I'd rather see feuds in Divas division, stories that mean something, rather than a short 1 month story and then on the fly booking for 2 weeks and then another short story. That's the reason why the Divas Revolution didn't work for me. But the reason why this match worked for me is because it was, other than the Brie Bella interjection and match with Charlotte that one time at Fastlane, I think, everything has meant something, and it was building towards this, and I like that, and I hope they continue building towards other things instead of just story over, interject someone here, and we'll start anew maybe. The other half of the Zack Ryder being the first part of the reason why I lost my voice. The second part of the reason why I lost my voice was basically a big "I told you so" Undertaker beating Shane McMahon. When everyone thought Shane McMahon was brought into the company to win this match so he can have control of Monday Night Raw, and there's no way Shane won't win, I gave in and said, yeah, Shane wins. But I always argued that it's unrealistic for Shane McMahon to win this match. Undertaker has to win it. He's got the prestige. Shane McMahon is fan favorite, and how much I even love him and loved him back in the day. It's not realistic for a guy like Shane McMahon to come into a Hell in a Cell with The Undertaker based upon storyline and history and beat him when guys like Triple H couldn't do it. And especially at WrestleMania. Guys like Triple H couldn't do it. Guys like Shawn Michaels couldn't do it. CM Punk couldn't do it. And now you want to take a guy who's out of wrestling, throw him into this match, put something on the line, and he's going to win just cause he wants to win, just because he wants control of the company. It doesn't make people happy that Shane didn't win, because they wanted to see the change and wanted to see something happen. But from a wrestling standpoint, like, kudos to the writers, because this made sense, and stemming from this, it's more interesting to see what Shane McMahon now does and what Vince now does, rather than Shane just being in control and everything's on the up note. Because wrestling's better when you're chasing the heel. You know, revenue proves that. Ratings prove that. And if they do continue with this, I have no doubt that they would. It'd be interesting to see what happens with Shane now, and if something is building towards Extreme Rules. But again, this match had a stipulation on it, a couple stipulations on it. It'd be they're in better position for something to happen at Extreme Rules that stems from some of these matches and the unfavorable outcome to the majority of the wrestling fans. And we'll talk more about that on the GNWC weekly show, because I'm sure Duke has a few comments. I know he wanted Shane to win, thought Shane was going to win, and I want to see how the Shane McMahon supporter feels after this match, whether they're okay with it or whether they're salty. And Raw will leave a lot to tell about how to do that, or how to feel about that. But we can't claim that WWE never does something unexpected, or that they always bury the new guy and don't give the fans what they want. Baron Corbin won the Andre Memorial Battle Royal, the third Andre Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Baron Corbin, who lost on NXT TakeOver Dallas to Austin Aries by a roll-up, won a match that included The Big Show and Mark Henry and Shaquille O'Neal. The Native American Tatanka and DDP were there. And all the other WWE superstars who were not Diego and Fernando were in the match. Or the Wyatt family, but more on them later. So it's funny how this works, how I've never rooted for Baron Corbin in NXT. I called him Boring Corbin for a little while after he reemerged in 2015. But I rooted for him as the NXT guy in a WWE match. It's funny how that works. And when he won, I was legitimately excited for him, for them doing something different. And to be honest, this was the match that was put where it was put on the card to kind of shorten or lengthen it based on time of the other matches. But Baron Corbin got a Battle Royal win at WrestleMania in the match before the main event. And as a fan, to me, who reads into things like that, that means a lot. It may not mean a lot to casual wrestling fans, or may not mean a lot to Baron Corbin, But looking at it that way, it's pretty special that it happened so late at night. And it wasn't like a throwaway match in the pre-show. So it was pretty cool. Pretty cool. Too bad WWE spoiled Baron Corbin winning, if you read into things, because when they tweeted out, when I was looking for pictures for this episode, for this reaction show, I stumbled upon a tweet back in the timeline that said Baron Corbin and more are looking to cement their WrestleMania moment in the Andre Battle Royal. But he was the only one mentioned. He was the singled out person that was shown on Twitter with a picture and a caption that, hey, out of all the 20 guys, we're going to show Baron Corbin come to the ring. Why would we do that? Oh, Baron Corbin won. Okay. So one of the half the reasons I don't go on Twitter. And the other half of the reason is because there's a delay sometimes, and you see match results before before it actually happens. My voice is shot. You might not hear it, but I'm really not talking. When I say certain words and certain sounds, it hurts more than it tickles. That's for sure. Now, after this match, The Rock came out and did his walking to the ring, and it just seemed, listen, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I'm a fan of The Rock. He's entertaining and stuff. I just don't get the latest stuff he's been doing. He basically gets the microphone, wastes time for 20 minutes, and talks about pretty much anything. And the fans eat it up. So, it's on me for not liking it, and I'm in the wrong. I understand that, but it doesn't work for me. I just think that other things could happen. And other things did happen with The Rock this time. He announced that they set records, attendance records, and then the Wyatt family came out and confronted him. So The Rock called out a referee and ripped off his tearaway pants, and he was in gear. And he wrestled a match at WrestleMania that 100% wasn't supposed to happen and would never happen according to all the insiders. He beat Eric Rowan with a rock bottom in 6 seconds and set another record. So the whole record thing was a seed planted, or whatever you want to call it. But then the Wyatt family surrounds the ring afterwards, and out comes John Cena to make the save, and Cena and Rock go through all the motions at the expense of the Wyatt family. Bray even taking bumps as well. So I don't know what is more important here, the fact that The Rock actually wrestled a match at WrestleMania, John Cena debuted, or Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family were looked like fools again. And that's what I take away from it, because what has to happen, because they elevate Bray Wyatt to superstar status in terms of run-ins, confrontations, and promo time. Yet when it comes to it, Bray Wyatt does nothing in the ring but get thrown around, pinned, the family losing. And I can only take so much more of that happening before I just don't even care anymore. Why is this guy not at a top level, and why wasn't he protected by not being a person that The Rock took out, or Cena took out? Why couldn't it have been just Braun Strowman and Eric Rowan? Why were they not in the Battle Royal? If Bray could take a bump, could he not have been in the Battle Royal? Could he not have won the Battle Royal? Could a feud not have been set in motion stemming from the Battle Royal involving Bray Wyatt? It was a one-off where he looked bad and ultimately was on the losing end again. And I hate that. I really do. Rock could have beat up anybody else. And it would have been... Or just the Wyatt family itself without Bray. You don't put Bray in the ring with Brock Lesnar because technically he's hurt and technically you're saving him. But yet you'll let The Rock and Cena make them look like fools because they're The Rock. I don't know. Just I'm on the wrong on this one. I know I am. And anytime I rant about The Rock, I'm always wrong. But that one just didn't work for me. And speaking of not working for me, Roman Reigns won. And that's all I'd really like to say about that. Because I basically said Roman Reigns wins back in January. And we all knew he was going to win. They didn't have the run-ins that I thought they were. When there were no run-ins in the Shane McMahon Undertaker match, I thought for sure that this was going to be loaded with run-ins. And maybe that was the perception and everything. But they did one spot where they tried to get the crowd to react to Roman Reigns. And like I've said before, when Roman Reigns does spots, spears, like Duke says, all his spears on the outside of the ring and through tables are just magic. They just look great. And the fans always react to him favorably. So Roman Reigns' spot in this match was spearing Stephanie McMahon. And the crowd popped. But they quickly unpopped. Whatever the word for that is. When Roman Reigns won the title. And as loud as they can play Roman Reigns' music, and as much as the Roman Reigns supporters could be vocal at the time he won the title, they lost out in the attrition war to the Boo Birds, who rained, pun intended, boos down upon Roman. And it was, 101,000 people, not all booing, but majority booing Roman Reigns. And I don't know how that's good for the company, and I don't know how that moves on. So, all said and done, what did I think about WrestleMania 32? Well, you got my reactions to most of the matches, or all the matches. It gets a grade of a C, and it's average because it's weighed down a little bit because it's WrestleMania. We had some good stuff. Zack Ryder and Baron Corbin winning. The Divas match was probably the match of the night. Shane McMahon's spot, I didn't talk about this because I left it for this part. Even though he lost, Shane McMahon jumped off the top of the cage, the Hell in a Cell cage, and missed an elbow drop onto the announce table. And I don't care how much gets exposed, like airbags flying out from underneath the table or whatever. It's crazy to jump from that high onto an airbag, let alone a retractable table or a breakaway table, or just a table that collapses under pressure above the airbag. It's scary, and it was a huge spot, and it's why Shane's one of the best entertainers. But I didn't buy him as a contender against Undertaker is all. So I was actually glad Undertaker won. Personally. Not being an Undertaker fan, but like I said before, it was more realistic, and I like to see what happens stemming from it rather than Shane just getting control right away. Reasons why this was just to see. I watched it with non-wrestling fans or old wrestling fans, and the constant comments about stuff looking fake or how something can't hurt when people actually look like they connect. 6 hours of it is just too much. And when someone's not interested in the match, they just start talking about other things to somebody. And when matches go on too long, you just get constant comments about the match being too long. It's not really fun to be in that situation for as long of a period of time that WrestleMania was. Maybe if it was 3 hours, it would have been acceptable and everything. People would have had more patience, but it was basically 6.5 to 7 hours, and it was a lot. A lot of the booking seemed like it was booked not to be a conclusion of an angle, but to set up Raw and maybe Extreme Rules. And certain matches weren't really put in a position to steal the show as a result. AJ, Chris Jericho, I just don't get it. Why are we leading to a fifth match? Is AJ going to call out Jericho and want one more match, and Jericho's going to say no? And then AJ is going to come on the microphone and yell at, why you jackass? And then Jericho's going to just go for the third time. Oh, you want a match? You got a match. because we've already done that 2 times before. Why not a third? I never felt invested in New Day versus League of Nations. New Day beat him twice. League of Nations beat him down, and that was great. But then it's not a title match. It's a 4-on-3 match. You had the legends come out to save the New Day. It's just, it didn't make New Day look bad. It didn't make League of Nations look good. It just did nothing overall except, hey guys, here's HBK, Mick Foley, and Austin in Dallas. So, could have done that somewhere else. I don't like how Dean Ambrose has been booked the last few months. I don't like how he lost at WrestleMania 32 because of that. How can you have a guy get beat up for so long, get back up every time, and not get his moment at WrestleMania? Not overcome the odds at WrestleMania? You're continuing the legacy of Brock Lesnar at the expense of a guy who's been so over with the crowd and who could use the win over Brock Lesnar more than Brock Lesnar can suffer from the loss. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't like it. We might get another rematch, like I said before, at Extreme Rules. But this match already had a stipulation. So what are they going to do? 2 stipulations? And ambulance matches, like I mentioned before, are just stupid. He already did a last man standing match with Kevin Owens 2 months ago. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. And I don't care about Roman Reigns winning or winning clean without aid. We got the crowd turning. I put that in quotes when he speared Stephanie. He got the pop. But like I said before, it doesn't matter how loud his music is or how loud fans want to cheer for him. The Boo Birds have win out and always will win out. It's just it kind of proves fans' points when they say that the company just will ultimately do what the company wants to do, and the fans have no voice. They don't like Roman Reigns, but yet WWE continues on the path of pushing Roman Reigns. It's contradictory. I'm contradicting myself when I say that, if I'm including myself in the fans, because we got Zack Ryder winning the Intercontinental title and Baron Corbin winning the Battle Royal. But at the same time, their opponents never got booed out of the building the way Roman Reigns gets booed, or never got pushed the way Roman Reigns gets pushed down your throat for 2 years, seemingly since Royal Rumble, basically 2014, where fans did like him and booed when Batista beat him in the Royal Rumble, and then some say it's because of CM Punk leaving the company and trashing Roman Reigns on Cole Cabana's podcast, or it's just the fans just don't care. They're not invested, and I'm not invested. So that's a reason that brings a great. But see, overall, it wasn't WrestleMania. Like, it didn't have that go home happy conclusion feel to me, even though the go home happy guy won. It just didn't work for me. So see, overall, 3 things though coming out of this that I would like to see, that I'm excited to see though, to put a little positive spin on it. Is what happened now. Happens now. What happened? We didn't get the change we wanted or the fans expected with Shane McMahon winning. Does Vince McMahon give Shane McMahon, like, you stole my son, here's SmackDown? You didn't win Monday Night Raw for me, but you stole my son, I love you, here's SmackDown. And then we get a Shane leading a brand split, controlling SmackDown while the Authority has Raw, and then that sets up something up down the line, Raw versus SmackDown or whatever. I think a brand split, as much as it was criticized back in the day, I think it's much welcomed again now. And I'd be excited to see it. Number 2, what title rematch will happen, and does it change hands on Raw tonight? You might already know this answer by the time you listen to this. My bet is Zack Ryder loses to Kevin Owens, but we can have Kalisto versus Ryback again, or we can have Charlotte versus any one of the 2 competitors that she had, Becky or Sasha, or is this where Bayley debuts and challenges Charlotte? The Charlotte, do they want to elevate the Women's Championship forcefully on the level that of the men's championships? And I say forcefully because they do a Charlotte women's title first ever open challenge and Bayley answers the call. I don't know. That could be foreseen. It was the one situation where I said Bayley could make a debut is if Charlotte wins, and then Bayley comes out of nowhere to challenge her for the title. I don't think that they'll give us Sasha Bayley right away. I said this in the NXT TakeOver Dallas recap. I'll say it here. I expect Bayley, Sasha at SummerSlam. Or I didn't say that, I hinted to it. Bayley, Sasha 3 at SummerSlam in the building where they redefined women's wrestling a year prior in NXT. I think that has the better feel for it, and maybe the title is on the line as well. Sasha will win it by then, and Bayley will challenge. And it writes itself because it's the same building, so you can even add that element into this story. So that'd be nice. I'd rather see that happen than Bayley just show up today, because I think Bayley has a lot left in NXT. Rematch with Asuka and elevating other women to higher standards by letting them go over on her. So we'll see. Not that that's her choice, but it's passing of the torches is nothing new. Number 3 is now, what do they do with Roman? I didn't care about his push to the top, the path to get there, the sympathy they tried to make me feel about how he was getting screwed over time and time again. And I'm certainly not going to enjoy the mentions of constant heel turn possibilities between him and Dean Ambrose. And I'm very sorry, and I'll apologize for this in advance, but losing several times in a row like Dean Ambrose has, or turning a guy heel because the crowd hates him, like what's happening with Roman Reigns, does not constitute heel turns. It's lazy booking. It does nothing to prove my point, about heel turns mean nothing anymore, and they just exist to create new feuds in places where you don't have a guy elevated enough on the roster to have a feud with the champion. It could have worked with Dean and Roman, but I think that scenario seems to be so played out and expected so many times before when they've teamed up that it's lost its luster, and it really would shock nobody at this point. But that remains to be seen. I think it's time for... I don't know what it's time for, and that's why it's number 3 on the list of 3 things I'm looking forward to see. I just want to see how they like them or not. I just want to see what they do with them and what to expect from them. So what did you guys think about WrestleMania? Leave me a comments below. Let me know what you think and what you think is going to happen as a result of WrestleMania. I'd be interested in hearing them. You can also subscribe to this channel for all my new gameplay videos coming this week and other wrestling recap shows. We're going to do a top 10 every week. Top 10 greatest things about wrestling during the week, and I'll come up with a better title for that. And you can also check me out on the Game and Wrestling Connection GNWC weekly podcast on the GNWC official channel that's linked below. We'll have more insight on WrestleMania, and we'll talk brand split and other things stemming from WrestleMania weekend, NXT included, and other news and notes from the world of wrestling. Thank you very much for listening. I will see you guys later. Get off my computer now. My voice hurts, and I need a nap. Bye.